Hello there, apologies for that small technical difficulty and welcome to episode 22 of It's All Geek to Me, the pop culture chat show where three friends with varying degrees of nerd knowledge get together once a week to have a chat about all things geek. My name is Rich Gittins and joining me this week and every week is my buddy Webby.
Hiya.
How you doing, Webby? You alright, mate?
I'm alright. I'm a little perturbed that the third member of our group has turned into a dog.
I know. Hey, Lummy, how you doing, mate? You okay,
So
pal?
we've got a little bit of a special show for you tonight, guys, in that everything's just gone tits up at the last minute, as happens in the world. Technical difficulties. One of the geeks has got stuck in traffic, or I don't know, what's he done?
Well, actually, the fact is, all three of us were supposed to be here tonight, but unfortunately, due to circumstances beyond our control, that wasn't able to happen. Basically, Lummy was supposed to be here earlier on, and he set the timer in his DeLorean for 10 minutes, and he just completely fucked everything up. But that's all right. We love you, Lummy. We love you.
Told me he had diarrhea.
Diarrhea?
Yeah.
Oh, it was.
Raging.
It was the. Oh,
Raging
God.
diarrhea.
So when he talks about that one that was really difficult to spell, it was diarrhea or hemorrhoids, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he's got both.
He's got hemorrhoids coming out of his diarrhea. Anyway,
So
hope you're enjoying your dinner tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So what we're going to do, we just thought we're going to pop on and we're going to just see how you're all doing, see how the community is doing. This was going to be our setup. Look at all the beautiful toys we've got here, ladies and
it's supposed to be
gentlemen.
a three-man setup, but we've got two men and a dog.
That's all right, two
in the
men and a
future,
dog.
when we are all in the same city together, which should be happening way more often.
And as things are starting to unlock, I'm going to
Yeah.
be up in Leeds a lot more now. So this is actually going to be a feature that we're going to have much more regularly, where Lummy's going to let everybody down, and it's just going to be me. No, we are going to be all together, and we're really looking forward to that time when all three of us can present the show. Together. But anyway, what's been going on this week, Webby? There's been a little bit of news about Indiana Jones, hasn't there?
Well, tonight was supposed to be our Indiana Jones retrospective look at. I'll go through the four movies, pick out what we like, find out things we didn't know before about them, and talk about Indiana Jones quite a lot.
We decided, look, as usual, we do a lot of research before the show. We do some research into brilliant. I've just been deserted by one man and one dog.
I'm still here.
And we were going to do Dexter, come here, mate. Come on, up. So I've just come up to visit, and Dexter's just decided that Nathan's his new owner,
his best friend.
His new best friend. But basically, we were looking at some Indiana Jones videos yesterday, and it's like the history of Indiana Jones. I look at how historically accurate the Indiana Jones films are, and believe it or not, they're pretty accurate.
Little bits you wouldn't expect.
There's some artistic license that's being used, but
Yeah.
I mean, the Crystal Skull, for example. I mean, it's famously the worst out of all of the Indiana Jones films,
but it's 100% true.
Yeah, there were aliens. No. But those crystal skulls, they did exist.
The crystal skulls, the persecution of people that were considered to be communists, all that, where Indiana Jones gets kicked out of the college.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but
anybody in America that wasn't completely behind America and sort of wearing the flag on their chest was considered a communist. Yeah. And a lot of them were sacked and put in prison.
As part of that film, Indy is obviously part of that communist witch hunt, and loses his job. However, we are going to be doing we're massive Indiana Jones fans. We're going to be doing a massive Indiana Jones retrospective on the very next show, whenever that is. But right now, we're just going to flounder through, show you some of the bits and bats that we've got knocking around behind us. This is
Can we look at this one?
This is quite a little interesting one.
Take it to the camera.
I'll take it up to the camera. This is from a line of figures by Palisades that did some Muppet figures. And they did a special Indiana Jones. Can you see that?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Screen with his removable hat. Oh,
the detail on that Kermit is amazing as well.
His leather jacket looks amazing. His hat's got a magnet in it, so it sticks there like that. It's even got a little Indiana Jones golden idol. It's a Gonzo shaped one, which is pretty sweet. So yeah, that was one of the things we were going to talk about.
The Gonzo idol was my favourite thing about that. I think it's brilliant. It's just those little touches of humour that the Muppets and Jim Henson's studio are really famous for doing. Okay, right. We were going to do this. We talked about this a while ago because actually, you're probably the perfect person to sell it to me. I can see. This is a beautiful figure. This is gorgeous. It is a really, really stunning little figure. But The Muppets kind of missed me by. I've just lost his hat. The Muppets kind of missed me by a little bit. And like you and Lummy are big fans of the Muppets. You really love the Muppets. Lummy's just jumped on. Hey up, Lummy. How you doing? You all right, mate? Good.
He's going to have to talk in sign language.
Look.
So we don't have any interference from the microphones.
He looks like a
I
big
think
Muppet. What am I missing about the Muppets? What is it?
Do you know what it is for me, right? And I'll be perfectly honest. I know that you're the only real affiliation with the Muppets you have is Muppets Christmas Carol, right?
Yeah, love that film.
Now, for me, it's basically every so often you find somebody like Jim Henson. Jim Henson was a pure soul. He was a beautiful guy. You know, he only ever wanted to bring joy to the world. He wanted to leave the world a bit better than it was when he came into it. And he succeeded, I think. For me, the camaraderie of the Muppets, there's no bullying, there's no swearing. It's all very pure and innocent. The jokes are really cheap, but they're really sweet. There's a sweetness to the Muppets that you just cannot find anywhere else. And I've had that since I was a kid, since I first saw the Muppet Show on TV at my nana's house when I was maybe 3, when it used to be on every Sunday.
Right. And
I just fell in love with them ever since. In fact, Sesame Street as well. That connection between Sesame Street, again, as a perfect example of a person, the woman who ran PBS back in the day, approached Jim Henson for his puppetry skills to do a show purely for children, thinking she was going to have to twist his arm or sell it to him or pay him loads of money. He just did it.
Okay.
Said, yeah, great. By that point, he'd met his the Hardy to his Laurel, and Frank Oz showed up on the scene, and they became this amazing double team. You've got Bert and Ernie, you've got Piggy and Fozzie and Kermit. Great partnerships. For me, it's just the joy of it. It's pure, it's sweet, it's funny, it's really, really talented stuff.
As a kid, I loved the Fraggles. I think the Fraggles were, it was just a fantastic series. I can't really remember, is it the Dozers or the Doozers or something like that? Yeah. And as a kid, I really enjoyed the Fraggles, but I just couldn't get into the Muppets. But what are the sort of similarities and what are the differences do you see between the Fraggles and the Muppets?
Well, for me, it's like, again, it's that purity thing. They're just pure, innocent people living in the world.
So that's the similarities?
Pretty much, yeah.
So what's the differences then? How do the Fraggles
differ
from the Muppets? What is it?
I don't really know. I mean,
were the humans
the Muppets actually
in the Fraggles?
Yeah, they were. That guy who had the dog, the captain in the lighthouse.
Of course, yes.
But it's I don't know. They've all got a kinship. Sesame Street, Fraggles, Muppets.
Were they all Jim Henson? Were they all Jim Henson?
Yeah. He also did Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, and things like that. I mean, eventually, early 80s, he started to go away from the Muppets and wanted to do different things with puppets. But that's what it was all about, was the art of puppetry. Right. I mean, it's something as stupid as when I was about 30, they released the first couple of seasons on DVD, The Muppets. And it was the first time I'd seen them all in a row. And they were just just stunned me how stupid and funny and silly they were. And it never even occurred to me that there were people underneath going like that. Right. It sounds stupid, but I never knew what Kermit looked like from that part downwards.
I know you can see the legs sometimes just flop over.
And the first time I saw like a behind the scenes photo of Jim Henson and Frank Oz with the Muppets on the hand, my brain just went, I just couldn't handle it. It sounds so stupid, right? But it's just something believable. And you know what? They weren't ventriloquists. So whenever Jim Henson used to go on a chat show and he'd take Kermit the Frog with him or another Muppet, he would sit there and talk, but then Kermit would talk. There was no like, no. He wouldn't hide it. It's just they're speaking as separate entities, and it's believable.
That's amazing. I had no idea. Yeah, I didn't know that, because I do a lot of puppetry for my work as well. And like sort of in the old normal, I was in the Magic Flute where I had to puppeteer a little goose called Gladys and a giant snake, and actually, that's very similar to the sort of stuff they're doing. And obviously, we're not trying to hide the fact that we're there. And a puppeteer's job isn't to hide the fact that they're there. A puppeteer's job is
to make you believe the puppet's alive.
It is alive, exactly. And that's the beautiful thing when you look at something like Warhorse, the actual West End show or the touring theatrical show. The job of all of the actors in that show is to react to those horses as though they are horses. Because if the actors don't, then nobody will believe that those horses are real. Mate, I've never made that connection to the Muppets.
It's the best way to sum it. The best way to sum it up for me is little clips. YouTube is great for the Muppets. There's a perfect little clip. I urge you guys, if you haven't seen it already, to go on YouTube and find the clip of the little 3-year-old blonde girl that's talking to Grover.
It's the dog, right?
No, Grover's the little blue puppet that Frank Oz did the voice for.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, yes.
And she's talking with him, and at the end, he tells her he loves her, and it's just so believable. She's sat next to a puppeteer, but she's not looking at the guy down there doing the hand movement.
Sorry, where is the guy?
He's down there.
Oh, okay, right, yeah.
That's where it is.
Okay.
It's just reality. See, that's why you don't get the Muppets. You're looking for the smut. He's looking for the smut in the Muppets. You won't find it. Yeah, that's another thing. They were never crass. They were never crude. They were never topical. They never tried to be... You know what I mean? They never tried to be anything more than just good puppeteers.
It's funny to see Ricky Gervais's relationship.
Oh man, he loves the Muppets. He loves them. Again, on YouTube, there's a great scene of Ricky Gervais singing a lullaby to Elmo. It is funny as balls. It's absolutely brilliant. And if somebody like Ricky Gervais, who's so acerbic and such an adult, to work with the Muppets, it's just a really, I don't know, it's just a beautiful, pure little entity.
So for someone like me who is familiar with the Muppets and loves the Muppet Christmas Carol, it's great. But I'm really familiar with that story as well, and I do really like that story. It's a nice traditional Christmassy sort of narrative. But for someone like me, what would be?
What's the gateway Muppet?
Yeah. What would be the things that we should have a look at?
Anything where they've got the original team together. They started to lose it a bit after Jim Henson died, because that's where the business side creeps in a bit. He was doing a massive deal with Disney. They wanted to buy the Muppets off him. People begged him not to do it. He was really not well. He started to get quite poorly, and it kind of lost a little bit of its innocence through that. Through the buyout sort of stage, but also the original voices were a massive part of the character. That's why Kermit for me doesn't work now. It's really sad.
Okay,
it's nice that they make an effort, but I would rather watch a bunch of new Muppet performers doing new Muppet things.
Gotcha. Just got a few comments coming in as well. Thank you very much. Chris is actually doing our technical stuff now, and these comments are coming out. It's brilliant. So we've got some comments from Big T. So hi, Big T. We missed you as well, dude. Like we there's a huge hole in my geek knowledge when you're not around. So I think we just really value your input. And you know what? I think we'd love to get you on the show sometime. So if you'd ever like to come on the show, give us a shout. We'd love to have you on. You'd out-geek us. The Geek Layout. Thanks, man. It's all right, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll show you some of that in a bit. We've cobbled it together quite hastily.
Yeah, absolutely.
Precariously balanced all my Lego on the back of the sofa.
An impressive Lego collection. For UK viewers that want to watch Indy, Raiders of the Lost Ark is on Monday the 31st. Bank holiday on Film 4. Brilliant, because we will be doing our proper Indiana Jones retrospective the day after. So it's almost like the fates have worked in our favour, I think. And Jim Henson also did a Greek Myths TV show, which was cool. I think it's on Prime at the moment. Is that Storyteller?
With John Hurt. Yeah.
Okay. John Hurt. Okay, cool. Awesome.
Yeah, they did a couple of TV shows that were nothing to do with the Muppets. There was Dinosaurs in the early 90s, which was like The Simpsons.
Okay.
Muppet dinosaur thing.
Is there a Muppet thing that you think people should avoid if they're trying to get into the Muppets? You're like, that doesn't really reflect the Muppets in the best light. So I've heard some people not like Muppet Treasure Island and things like that.
The thing is, I've got a love for the original films, but when I watch them now, they are dated. If you haven't seen a film from the 70s or the early 80s, you're going to notice that there's some juxtapositions. But the way they make the Muppets believable, there's a bit that blows my mind in the first Muppet movie where Kermit rides a bike into town. And there's not a puppeteer inside.
You're thinking, how does that happen? How does he do it?
Machinery in his legs or something. But no, it's a giant marionette above the top. It's so fucking simple. But that's what they did. It's a giant, and there's loads of bits like that make you believe they're real because they're just cleverly filmed.
But I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's that Muppets go bananas. I think that's the thing, isn't it? That's the thing, isn't it? It's that my mantra is KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. And it makes it so much more effective.
As well, there's more of that. There's magic in it. There's magic in the relationship between Frank Oz and Jim Henson, not just in the Muppets, but in Sesame Street with Bert and Ernie, and then the connection between George Lucas and them getting Frank Oz to play Yoda. So Jim Henson and Frank Oz were on the set of Empire Strikes Back figuring out how to do the puppetry and make it believable. And then you cannot tell me that puppet is less believable than the CGI one. No. It's a fucking puppet, but you totally believe it. It doesn't even move that well.
So in terms of kind of size-wise, is this how big the puppet of Kermit is? Is it bigger than this?
A little bigger, I would have thought, because he's got to get his ginormous
hands. Yeah, no, I was just wondering.
He's got like big carpenter type hands.
Yeah, has he got big hands?
Yeah, he's a big dude.
Oh, lucky man. Yeah. So
but this is incidentally, this is my prized possession. This is a 1976, 77.
That's older than both
Kermit
of
the
us.
Frog, Fisher Price model Teddy. Look at that, it's so cute. Seen better days. But I absolutely love it.
That's beautiful.
It was given to me by a friend of mine when I was a kid. And
that's in really good condition, man.
It's really weird to explain, but when you love the Muppets and you know other people that love the Muppets, it's just like, I don't know.
But look at this. It's just sat on my hand, and it's kind of already come to life.
Yeah.
Hey up, Days. How you doing? Hey, lovely to see you.
All right. Oh,
hey, hello from Kermit.
So yeah, I mean, I could bang on about the Muppets for ages.
The thing about this is, I feel like I need to take care of him like he's a living being. When I put him down, it's
it's just my prized possession. Don't worry too much.
But it's funny though, because the show that I finished doing in the old norm, I'm going back to do hopefully this autumn. The goose that I was puppeteering, the relationship that you form with this puppet, and it was really weird. Like the crew were like a bit freaked out because I was like, "Can I get Gladys out and put her to bed at the end of the show?" And they were like,
"All right, talk about keep it simple, stupid."
Yeah.
When he first started doing puppetry on television, people went, "Why the hell didn't we do this? Why didn't we do it?"
Really?
And he did it. He'd made hundreds of commercials. He made a lot of money doing commercials. He got a really early TV show in black and white on a local network when he was like 19.
Really?
He met his partner at university, and they started working together. So she was helping him create the Muppets, sew them all together, build the sets, working the puppets and stuff. And then Frank Oz shows up as a little, like 18-year-old kid, and comes in, just steals the show. Comes up with things like Fozzie Bear and Grover.
See, Fozzie and Gonzo were always my favourites.
Yeah. Gonzo's a different performer, but so all the Muppets weren't together until 1977 or 78. Whenever the first TV show, the Muppet Show, that's what I see as the Muppets.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit of history and connections to Sesame Street because Kermit the Frog was featured.
So what came first, Sesame Street or the Muppets?
Sesame Street, technically. The Muppets were around, but they hadn't done the Muppet Show yet. Then found the right format for it. And it was England that did that. They came to England, they got a deal with this crazy multimedia guy called Lord Grade, I think he was called. Right. Big cigar smoking Winston Churchill looking dude. And they got this contract, and they filmed it all in England. It was all 5 seasons were filmed in England. And then it just went global, just went absolutely nuts.
I used to work for a lady who was a performer on the Muppet stage show, and she played Zoot. She was a dancer, and she played Zoot, and she's given loads of the clothes stuff, and she said she got to meet Jim Henson.
Again, just so many cool characters, and the band. I mean, there's something for everybody in that. What's he got?
Oh, what's he got?
He wants us to talk about the Muppet Babies.
Oh, I love the Muppet Babies.
See, even when you don't know, you love the Muppets.
Can you remember the theme tune?
Muppet Babies. We're going to get sued.
Oh yeah, we're not allowed to do that. Oh yeah. That's a really good point. We're not allowed to do that.
Speak it. Yeah. Sign it. Lummy, sign the theme tune for us. Oh, it's gone.
Oh God, hang on. Joe's a bit upset. She's getting house proud. She wants to straighten the cushions.
Never straightened cushions.
Never had so many people interfere in our show before.
But yeah, man. I mean, it's a connection thing for me. A rainbow connection, if you like. The songs are wonderful. You just learned a little bit today about that guy who was a songwriter for them, Paul Williams.
Can I recommend Animal versus Buddy Rich drum battle? There's a much on YouTube.
There's the one where he's playing drums for Rita Moreno, this Latin American singer who she's singing the song Fever. An Animal keeps trying to play the drums behind her, and he's getting on her nerves. And they have this little argument while the song's going on. It's just it's cute. The guest stars, if you want to understand it, watch some of the guest stars. Steve Martin was an amazing guest star. John Cleese was amazing. Peter Sellers was on it. So when they're with really funny, talented comedians, it just gels together.
Okay, so were these people on the show, do you think, because of the popularity of the Muppets, and they wanting to get something in return? So obviously riding the back of the popularity of the Muppets, or is it because they're just huge fans of the Muppets? Like some people wanted to be in the Simpsons.
I'm sure
it was a badge of honor to be in the Simpsons at one point.
Yeah, but I don't know if they were going to get a load of money from it. I think a lot of them were there because they loved the Muppets.
It's a passion project.
Yeah, so the first series is barely anybody really recognisable to us.
Right.
There's a lot of old school vaudeville type actors. And ballet dancers and stuff, which is cool. But then you get into people like Sylvester Stallone, Julie Andrews.
It's weird that you have Sylvester Stallone on the Muppets.
Yeah, it's really weird. There's a Roger Moore episode where he does a whole musical number, but he can't sing. So he speaks for the whole thing, and it's from Dr. Dolittle.
Do you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. I've seen one of the best performances I've seen, and she can't sing for shit, but it's Judi Dench singing "Sending the Clowns." And go on YouTube and have a look at it. It's phenomenal. It's a masterclass in acting through song. It's absolutely brilliant.
But yeah, I mean, so there's lots of things for me that look. Obviously, it's been in my life for my whole life, so I've done quite a lot more overkill than most people would. Especially when I started making a bit of money. When I was working, I started collecting books and things, and the odd bits and bats. But really, that Palisades figure line, I didn't collect it when it came out. I started collecting it like 15 years after. Okay. I didn't have the money when it came out. So how much
would something, I know it's kind of cheapening the sort of narrative here, but how much would something like this be worth now?
Well, that is when it first came out, I thought it'd probably be about 15, 20 quid. So
it came out in
quite a big box. 2001 was when the line launched.
Okay.
But it ran for about 6 or 7, 8 years. So the latest stuff like this, the limited edition figures, they came out quite late.
It feels like a kid's version of the Antiques Roadshow at the minute.
I still look at it now and think how beautiful it is.
It is absolutely gorgeous.
Absolutely amazing figure.
I'm going to bring it to the camera again. The thing is, it has so much personality.
The detailing,
it's
the
just
width.
insane.
He's got a gun in his holster that's like a proper.
It is insane. Okay, so how much do you think this would be valued at now?
Well, it's hard to say. It's quite hard to get rid of things like this.
They hold their breath while we're waiting for the.
You'd have to go to a collector, or you can find them on eBay. And if you're lucky, maybe 50 quid for a brand new one in the box.
Okay, so how much?
If you're unlucky, 50 quid for an old one that's not in the box.
How much would this be worth then? Because this is by far the oldest.
As much as I thought it would be. Nowhere near. I saw one on eBay the other day for about 25 quid.
Really?
Yeah,
an original
boxed, then you're looking at probably a lot of money, but there's quite a lot of them. The weird thing is as well, they did 5 in this line, and they did Kermit, Piggy, Gonzo, Fozzie, and Animal, and Kermit is the only one that looks anywhere near decent.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the other ones aren't particularly great representations of what they're meant to be. Kermit was the one that nailed it.
Okay.
But yeah, so I mean, I couldn't possibly get rid of my Muppets collection. I've got more of those figures. I've got some of the play sets. I'm keeping them for a rainy day, just in case my kid likes them and wants to play with them, or in case he could sell them one day and make some money.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's not really why I bought them. I bought them because I wanted them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And once you get the first member of the Electric Mayhem, the band. You just got to get them all.
Right.
Just got to keep going.
Okay.
So there's a couple that I never managed to get. I never managed to get Waldorf and Statler. I never managed to buy them. They got really expensive. The 2 old men.
Yeah, no, but I'm trying to work out what. So I've just moved house as well. In the gap since we last saw you on Saturdays, I've moved house and obviously come up to Leeds to do the show and things like that. But in my old house, my landlord had this. He's a performer. He does a show called Men in Coats. If you've ever heard of it, it's amazing. They do the Royal Variety Show and things like that. Loads of their stuff on YouTube. Really fun variety act, sort of quick change stuff. He was given loads of weird gifts from loads of people from all around the world. He tours around the world doing this show. And one of the gifts he's got are Waldorf and Statler. And they're about this big. And they're sat on a sofa together.
And I believe they're handmade. I don't think they ever sold those. I think somebody made those, and they made them really well. Because when I went to your house and I first saw them, I was blown away.
Okay.
But I believe they're handmade. I don't think they ever released them. I've never seen them before. So maybe somehow it's come. I mean,
so do you think they're knockoffs?
Down the road
do you think they're knockoffs, or do you think they are official?
Man, I have no idea.
I need to get. I'm going back on Friday. I need to get a photo of these.
I wonder if it could even be that he just lives in the right area, that some of the people who used to work on the Muppet Show with those skills just made things like that. I don't know. I've no idea. It's kind of fascinated me where they came from. I've never seen them before.
Okay.
They look older than the one I've got. And
big Timor here, yes. Kermit is lovable, but his nephew, Robin?
Yeah.
Is that your Robin is named? Your son is named after?
It's not quite as simple as that, but yeah. Robin is a multifaceted thing for me.
Well, you got Batman and Robin.
Yeah. At the time, there was a Robin in Game of Thrones, the little arsewipe kid.
Oh my God, you called your kid after him?
No, but what it was, I didn't call him after it, but what I noticed was Robin was a name that was featured in like quite a few of my favourite things that were going on.
Make him fly!
Also, Robin Williams. It was after Robin Williams died.
Okay, yeah.
And we were talking about names, and I just couldn't think of I couldn't think of a bad Robin, you know what I mean? Apart from that kid in the game.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a really bad example to use.
But yeah, so that's kind of where Kermit's nephew.
What are you?
Lummy.
I mean, we might get a copyright strike from this, Lummy.
Lummy, you're really good at distracting when you're not here.
The annoying thing is what you can't see is that we can see Lummy's face on the screen and he's wetting himself laughing. It's like,
oh, so funny.
How can I sabotage the show even more?
You've done it, mate. You did it already. But yeah,
it's like a silent assassin.
I really appreciate being able to talk about them.
Because it's a good opportunity because actually, like you and Lummy, you can talk about the Muppets, and I sometimes feel in the show that I'm lost in that conversation.
I don't really know. We've never really, I mean, me and Lummy, obviously, when you like the Muppets and you know, so I think me and Lummy bonded over the Muppets for a couple of reasons. At college, we both had the same Muppet Show album, so we knew all the songs from the Muppet Show album. So occasionally, me, him, and a guy called Matt Jackson would get together and would just run through a couple of the songs and sing them.
Well, that's how I first started really knowing, and I've got loads of really bastardized versions of Muppet songs that I'd hear you guys do. And then I think I could remember the next bit, but since I stopped being at college with you guys and stuff, I've gone away and I've sort of been walking around going, I can't even remember any of the songs. But
I know. But copyright strikes.
Exactly. But I just kind of make up the words.
But they weren't like popular songs. They weren't like
Is Hey Mr. Bassman? Is that
Mr. Bassman was one of them? Yeah, there was a song called Mississippi Mud, which me and Jackie and Lummy used to love. When the people beat their feet on the Mississippi mud, it's quite fast. So you just stand there and just sing it in a circle.
Mr. Bassman is a ba 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 ba.
Exactly. It's like a
Mr. Bassman.
That's the doo-wop sort of side of it. So yeah, we bonded over some of the songs and the fact that he'd seen more of the Muppet Show than I had. I don't know how. I think he probably found it on video or something. And the Muppet movie. When Lummy likes a movie, he rinses that movie, remembers every joke.
Lydia, Lummy's.
Lydia.
Is that a Muppet song? Right. Okay.
Yeah. Lydia,
I just thought we had some sort of spam from sort of Twitch porn.
That's
thing
a cracking
again.
tale. Is that a song about this guy who falls in love with a woman that's completely tattooed? Before it was really popular, and like some of the lines in it are really dodgy. On her back is the Battle of Waterloo. Something like that. I can't remember, mate. What's that? Lummy, send us some lyrics. But yeah, on her back is the Battle of Waterloo. Beside it, the wreck of the Hesperus 2, and proudly above waves the red, white, and blue.
Ah, that's some great lyrics.
He's talking through all the tattoos on this lady's body that he fancies.
So if you are interested in hearing from somebody who actually wrote a lot of the songs for the Muppets and you can learn a lot from Lydia.
Yeah.
And he wrote songs for you did some research into, is it Paul Williams?
Paul Williams and a guy called Kenny Asher, I think.
And who else did they write for? It wasn't just the Muppets, was it? It was lots of things.
For the Carpenters and David Bowie, weirdly.
If those of you on Twitter, there is a Twitter feed called Muppet History. Do you know what? It's one of the most wholesome accounts on that hell site. That's
another word. It's wholesome. It's just like good, you know.
And that's the thing. And that's the thing about this account. It's one of the most wholesome accounts on that hell site. And they have just released their own podcast. They've got 2 episodes out. And in one of the podcasts, it's called Muppet History. And in one of the podcasts, they interview Paul Williams, and it just sounded like a real beautiful, loving.
I think that's the other thing is everybody that ever worked with them rates them.
Were there any arseholes on the Muppets team? Is like anyone who's famous in that
Well,
team
actually,
has been
quite
a massive
controversially,
arsehole.
later on, they found out that the guy, this is sick. I don't know if I should say this.
Oh
but the
no,
guy who
if it's
played
going to involve...
Dude, it's the guy who did the voice for Elmo. Got embroiled in some sort of Me Too scandal.
Okay,
Before Me Too.
That's not as
Before
bad
Me
as I
Too.
thought it was.
And
gonna
apparently
be,
he'd
yeah.
arranged for some underage male prostitutes. To
Okay,
come
no,
to
that
his
is as
hotel
bad as I thought it was going to be.
Which is kind of like, oh, not Elmo, you know. So occasionally.
Why do I seem to remember there being some sort of scandal around Big Bird?
That's when Big Bird got caught selling crack. Yeah, it was a rough time in his life.
To Oscar the Grant.
No,
Yeah,
there wasn't a scandal. The guy who played Big Bird played him for like 50 years without like ever stopping.
Ever taking the costume off. He just lived in it.
Yeah, he only just handed it over to another Muppet performer like 3 or 4 years ago. It's nuts.
I'm just gonna I can figure out how I can show the things myself. Yes, Martin, Lummy has been turned into a Jack Russell. It's Woof.
It's the remake.
It's Woof. Oh God, I loved that show. I loved Woof. Any show with dogs in. I loved Johnny Briggs. You remember that with Razzle? Razzle.
Going back to the songs, right? If you're a Muppet person, you know that there are like 3 major songs that, if you like the Muppets, you'll never get them out of your head. You'll love them forever. Rainbow Connection, It's Not Easy Being Green, and another one. That is, the songwriters that they picked were just as talented as the Muppet performers, and they very rarely let them down when it came to writing the songs. They wrote some beautiful songs. I've tried to play them on guitar, and they are not easy. They're quite beautifully written. They're just interesting chord progressions. It's just something a bit different, and it feels like the Muppets. I mean, that guy wasn't a Muppet. He wasn't in the Muppets. It feels like the Muppets. Like, it's really done him justice.
All right. A few questions for you. And you're going to struggle with this because I know you hate making decisions about things that you love. All right. Favorite Muppet?
Oh, fucking hell. Favorite Muppet's Kermit.
It's got to be Kermit? Okay.
Do you know why? Because he's the one that never cracks under the pressure. He's accepting of everyone, no matter how crazy they are. And he's always there for, and that sounds like such a cheesy reason to like him, but he's like the backbone of it all. Do you know what I mean? Okay,
am I supposed to dislike Miss Piggy? Because I mean, I'm a lot more afraid with the Muppet Babies, and I mean, she was a dick in that.
The thing is with Miss Piggy was it was a pastiche on every diva that's ever been.
Muppet Treasure Island soundtrack stayed in my head for a while.
Absolutely stunning, man. Cabin Fever, what a song. There's a song in that where they all go crazy on the boat.
Right.
It's called Cabin Fever.
It's Robin Williams, that, isn't it?
No, it's Billy Connolly.
Billy Connolly is in Muppet Treasure Island, okay.
Oh, again, Billy Connolly.
I'm thinking Hook.
I read something about this a couple of weeks ago because it was the anniversary of the Muppets Treasure Island.
Martin's favourite Muppet is the Swedish Chef. Yeah,
choice. Yeah. I mean, I would never poo-poo anybody's choice because it's great.
Muppet Treasure Island.
Just go back a second. Miss Piggy. Yes, it's a joke that if you don't get, you're never going to get it. But basically, she's every diva ever been. She's not very talented, but really thinks highly of herself. Very demanding. Totally wrong for Kermit, but that's the love story.
So that's my issue, because I really liked Kermit. And I loved him in the Muppet Babies. And then you got Miss Piggy, who's just being a massive diva and just been a bit dick to him. And so I just couldn't get
Not necessarily,
past that.
because, all right, I see it like this. She really loves Kermit. She wants his babies. She wants them to get married. He's not sure they belong together, so he never fully commits to her.
Right.
And he fucking strings her along all the time. You know what I mean? And I get the feeling that when the cameras are around, he's like, oh, come, we can have a cuddle now. You know what I mean? But he keeps her at a distance. It's weird.
That means he's quite manipulative.
That's what I'm saying. There's a times where I'm thinking, you're being a bit...
Really?
Yeah. Because if you don't fancy her, then just tell her. You know what I mean? But he doesn't. He strings her along.
Is he not just scared of her?
Yeah. Quite rightly so.
Yes,
she's a formidable character.
Okay.
And she knows karate. She's a badass. She taught karate to Bruce Lee.
What's your worst Muppet? I've heard that. It's on Wikipedia.
My worst Muppet is probably one of the newer ones. I never really liked the new one from Muppets Tonight. It was called Clifford, and he had dreadlocks. He was a purple Muppet. And I never really knew what he was supposed to be.
Okay.
I appreciated the fact that they put some new Muppets in there.
Yeah.
Some of the new Muppets really work. Pepe, the King Prawn, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. I do know Pepe. Yeah.
Cuban shrimp.
Yeah. It's a really clever character.
Absolutely really cool. And there's another one called Bobo the Bear that's a later character. It's nothing like Fozzie Bear. It's like a grizzly bear with these beady little black eyes. he always plays a security guard kind of character, but he's really, really funny.
Yeah.
And that's what I think a lot of it is. Generally, the performers are really, really good at what they do.
Okay, your favourite Muppet film?
Muppets Take Manhattan.
Yeah?
Just cause I love it.
We got Big T. His favourite Muppet is Animal. I like Animal. It's great. Treasure Island with Tim Curry. Tim Curry's in Treasure Island.
Dude, you need to watch some of these. I think you get it.
I do. And
so what was I going to say about Treasure
Christmas
Island?
Carol
Right? They had an anniversary recently. Me and Lummy went to see that on Cinema Day when everything was £1. We went to see 2 films back to back. And one of them was Muppet Treasure Island, and we were both so excited to see it. But Billy Connolly, apparently, he was only supposed to film for 15 days because he's only in the first quarter of the movie. And he didn't want to leave, and the Muppets didn't want him to leave, and he just absolutely loved being there when they weren't filming.
I love
hanging out
with the Muppets didn't want him to leave.
Dude,
it's like
just to hang out. But that's the thing that most people don't realise is that's how they quantify themselves. When they have a Muppet on them, they are not in control. The Muppet is. Do you know what I mean? And
so that's quite sort of like a Stanislavski approach.
Yeah.
It's like
Billy
I am
Connolly
this
says
character.
when he used to go to his dressing room, they'd be there with the Muppets on their hands, and she'd just have a laugh with them for like hours on end, making everybody laugh.
I guess that if you were a guest on a show like the Muppets and you turn up and then you meet the puppeteers. And you go, oh, all right, mate, how you doing? Oh, yeah, I'm going to be the puppeteer for Kermit. It's not the same as you walk in and there is the puppeteer with Kermit. And you go, hello, mate, my name's John. This is Kermit. And it kind of works, and that is the idea.
There's a cynical look at it, right? Somebody like a cynic might look at Jim Henson and go, yeah, but Kermit the Frog's voice is Ernie's voice. Ernie's voice is just a tiny bit lower in the tonal register. And it's the same as another voice, you know what I mean? And they'll pick holes in it, but that it doesn't matter. It's so good at what they do. Every character that Jim Henson performed was performed really, really well.
Martin was also a fan of King Prawn. Okay, so favorite Muppet song?
Favorite Muppet songs? There's a song that's it's really short, and it's quite a. It's quite a prophetic song in a way. So, and I can't sing it, but the words, I just like it. The words are life's like a movie. Write your own ending. Keep believing. Keep pretending. We've done just what we set out to do. And at that point, all the Muppets join in this massive chorus. It's about 30 seconds long.
What's the song called?
And it goes, and then it goes. There's still the lovers, the dreamers, and you, and that's it. It's a tiny little song.
But what's the song called?
I don't know.
But if anybody knows what this song is called, Lummy, if you know what this song is called, let me know
what I mean, because it's like 30 seconds long. But yeah, I mean, Love Rainbow Connection is a great little. I mean, again, the lyrics are just so. You know, you get a song like Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I think that's what the guy was trying to come up with, something that told a story like that. And Rainbow Connection. Now I'm trying to think of it. Is what the hell is it? I can't think because I'm trying to think of it.
All right,
but yeah, the lyrics are great. It's a good Muppet song.
Who is your favourite human that is involved in the Muppets? And not Jim Henson, because...
What do you mean, performer?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really difficult, mate. Frank Oz.
Right.
Frank Oz is as prolific as Jim Henson. If you take him away from the Muppets, you've got no Fozzie, you've got no Animal, you've got no... God, he did so many, man.
Right, okay.
It's just like you got no Miss Piggy. You've got.
Did Frank Oz's career stretch beyond the Muppets? Did he do other things
Frank
as well?
Oz is mad at the Muppets now.
Yeah.
Since Disney bought out, he refuses to do the voice of Fozzie or Miss Piggy ever again.
Right.
He feels they are taking the piss. They're writing it. The people that are writing it now aren't writing it in the spirit of the way the original people who wrote it did. He's mad. He's mad at the disrespect shown to Jim Henson over his character.
How are the Muppet community reacting to that?
Unbelievably successful is Frank Oz. Not just as a Muppet performer. He directed Little Shop of Horrors.
Okay.
He directed Lummy. Give me some Frank Oz films. You know what he's directed. Tons of movies.
How have the rest
very
of
well respected?
How have the rest of the Muppet community, and I don't just mean the performers and people who knew Jim Henson, how have the fans and the community reacted to the changes that Disney have made? Like for you,
Being one of them,
are you just happy that there's more Muppet
No.
material, or are you watching it and going?
I always thought
bullshit?
that would be the case, but recently I haven't seen anything noteworthy from the Muppets. For the two films that the guy who directed Flight of the Conchords did, The Muppets and The Muppets Most Wanted, almost.
Okay,
almost.
Is that the closest it's been?
It's the spirit of the Muppets.
Right. Okay.
The jokes are kind of in that vein. The songs
Which is a bit of
songs are good.
A Rogue One sort of thing. It had the spirit. It looked like, but it wasn't quite there. Yeah.
No,
okay.
Because Fozzie Bear and Miss Piggy and everybody, they just sound a little bit off. Sound a bit wrong. And I know there's nothing you can ever do about that unless you can raise the dead.
Yeah.
But that is, it's just like they are, like they've lost their way with Star Wars. When things go to Disney, things tend to lose their way. They're not sure what to do with this amazing
Marvel,
property.
which is surreal.
But that's because that's controlled still by one guy, isn't it?
Yeah,
it needs that overseer.
And
that for me is what Frankos should have done. He should have said, actually, if you think you're going to take this shit that me and my best friend worked on so hard and flush it down the toilet, no chance. I'm going to be a creative exec on this.
So Martin seems to think that the Muppets did some Warburton adverts.
Yeah, it's terrible. They did. Very recently.
How long? Recently?
Very recently.
So I haven't watched terrestrial TV for such a long time, or like
3
live
years.
TV for a while, so I haven't seen many adverts.
Yeah, in the past 3 years they did.
Wow, wow. I guess someone like Frank Oz would really see that as selling out.
Exactly. And Frank Oz is, okay, so there was a joke in the Muppets.
Cheapening the Muppets as well. Because
Lummy knows this one. There's a joke in the Muppet movie, the first version of the, what's it called? Just the Muppets with Jason Segel. There's a joke in that where Fozzie Bear, he's trying to come up with new ideas, and he approaches Kermit while they're behind the scenes, and he's got these whoopee cushions on his feet, and he's hey, Kermit. And it's a funny joke. He goes, "Hey Kermit, look, fart shoes." Frank Oz was like, "We would have never done that. That's too far for the Muppets. It's a universal. You know, it's a U. It's too much." I mean, yeah, he's got a bit of a stick up his ass, but I think he had a duty to sort of protect his friend's property, but it was too late. The deal with Disney was already done just before.
If they'd left, like so Marvel have like a person in charge of the continuity of the brand to make sure everything's sort of staying on message and everything links together. Do you think Frank Oz would have been the good person to carry that torch for the Muppets, or do you think he's got a bit too much of a stick up his ass?
Do you know what? I'd like to ask him that. I know I never will, but I'd like to know that from him. I can't speak for him. I don't know why he did what he did. I don't know why he's quite bitter about it. He did a movie recently with the remaining original Muppets cast called Grumpy Old Muppet Performance. I can't remember what it's called. Oh,
really?
Yeah, he did like a documentary where they basically sit and bitch about Disney.
Right.
And how it all went wrong, but they also talk about the love for the Muppets. They talk about Jim. They talk about all this stuff, but it's tinged
like
with
they feel like the Muppets being held hostage.
Yeah,
at the moment.
It's tinged with this regret that Disney ever stepped in. It's just, you can just feel it there. It's hanging in the air, you know. So it's quite sad for serious fans, but you know,
this
Muppet guys talking
has turned into a bit of a Muppet special. But okay. Big T, his favorite, and that's a song that I completely forgot about because that is one of the most famous Muppet. In fact, that is probably the most famous Muppet song that is
that's
used.
The other thing they
used, exactly. Postmodernly,
they really picked the things that weren't written for them that they chose from a back catalogue of songs. Yeah, they really picked some great oddball, crazy songs.
So they picked songs that weren't.
They did a lot of covers. That's why on the Disney Channel now they're showing the Muppet Show, but the episodes have been edited somewhat because some of
they don't have the rights to use those songs, right? Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can understand. I think more than anything, Frank Oz is still upset that his best friend died, and that's the be all and end all.
Yeah.
You know? It's still sad, and that unfortunately the timing of it, Disney had just bought the Muppets just before he died, so they got to take it away from all those performers. But the Muppets performers that survived, they played the Muppets until the day they die. Still, the guy who's done the voice for Gonzo is the same guy who's done him since the 70s.
Wow,
he still does it now. The guy who played Big Bird, he pretty much died in that costume.
Are there more versions? Are there? How many Kermits are there, or is there just one Kermit?
After Jim Henson died, Brian Henson, his son, did the voice for Kermit.
But I mean, sorry, how many physical Kermits are there? Do they have a stockroom full of Kermits?
Yes.
Or is there one Kermit and it comes out like?
And I think they learned. I mean, this is the. Do you know what Jim Henson died of?
No.
He died of pneumonia, but it was a very specific fungal type of pneumonia. Ironically, probably contracted from the foam with inside the sweaty fucking puppet that he put on his hand every day.
Wow.
A bacterial infection.
Wow.
Yeah. That's the saddest thing about that's the sting in the tail of all this. He was killed by his own fucking muppet.
Creation.
Wow. I mean, it's so sad. And he didn't even think he was that ill. He just went home one day. He said to his wife, I'm not feeling. 3 hours later, he was in the hospital. And then a couple of hours later, he was dead.
Oh, mate.
Yeah, sad shit. So yeah, but that's a bit of a sting in the tail. But
well,
yeah,
dude, thank you very, very much for explaining the Muppets to me. Actually, I've really appreciated having this time, and thank you to the rest of you. Thank you to Martin. Thank you to Big T. Thank you to Lummy as well for explaining to me why I should perhaps give the Muppets.
Dude, you're too hard on yourself. You've already admitted that Muppet Babies and Muppet Christmas Carol are important enough for you to say that you like the Muppets. So what's the big deal? Just because you don't love them.
No, but it's because I think what it is that I've been ignorant of how much the Muppets have done and actually how many different things. Like, I completely forgot about Muppet Babies. I mean,
dude, there's definitely some cool shit that you haven't seen.
So, Martin, for example, Farscape, which was made by the Hensons. You know?
Yeah. They're responsible for a lot. So they're still doing a lot. Jim Henson's Creature Workshop is still doing a lot for movies, TV. You can tell when there's a puppet even if it's not.
There's been a couple of times actually we've watched a film and you've gone, wait, is that a Jim Henson?
We were watching something last night and they showed a hippogriff from Harry Potter, and I'm not entirely sure, but I would put money on that it's either the technology used is from the Muppet Workshop or they built it for them. I'm not sure, but I mean, it just looks like.
Having been on the Harry Potter studio tour, I don't think it was built for them, but I think they've probably taken some of the technology, because that's what happens, isn't it? Then it's like they're not copyrighting technology.
Jim Henson was big into technology, even in Sesame Street.
But they're not copyrighting it. It's there for people to use.
Before we had the technology to do green screen and put numbers up behind a Muppet and say the letter of the day and the number of the day, they were finding ways of doing that were outside the box. Years before. They were really on the forefront of all the green screen mocap stuff. They were doing it for years.
Okay.
Well, trying to. It's the sort of bones of mocap. When you get a performer performing one of those like long-legged puppets and he's got 4 stilts on each limb. They are responsible for a lot of what we see in special effects.
Lord of the Rings, all that sort of stuff as well.
And he wasn't scared of new technology when it came along. He got told how to use it, and they said, hang on, we don't have to use it like that. Let's try.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Well, listen, ladies and gents, I think we're probably going to call that a time to end the show in the absence of our friend Lummy. We've just got his little furry version of him here instead. But listen, thank you so much for all of the information. Webby, thank you for explaining the Muppets a little bit more to me.
Sorry, guys.
Look, ladies and gents, we are going to be back next week. Oh, have we figured out what time the show's going to be? Is it going to be 7 or 7:30 moving forwards?
To be decided. I think 7:30.
7:30. Okay, so from now on, ladies and gents, we're going to be back same time. Not the same place, because I'm going to be back in London in my new setup.
But the usual format, unless we're in the same city together. If we're in the same city, we're going to do this with all 3 of us. Exactly. If Lummy can get his shit together. Unbelievable.
But ladies and gents, thank you so much. We will be there. He is. Look at him. Looking like Kramer. Looking like Kramer from Seinfeld. Look at him.
We were supposed to go out this week, go to the beach, but one older brother had to mess it up by flunking his driver's test.
Goonies. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. We're going to be back next week, next Tuesday, 7:30. We're going to have the old setup available where we're all going to be doing it virtually, but we are going to do an Indiana Jones retrospective, and we're going to do our best and worst Stephen King films. So feel free to drop a comment down below or over on our Facebook page or over on that there Twitter, and let us know what your favorite and worst Stephen King is, and let us know what your best and worst Muppets are, because I'm really interested, because obviously 2 people I care a lot about, Lummy and Nathan, man into the Muppets, and obviously there are some things that I'm quite into as well of the Muppets, but I've not as into it as you guys. And I've
Dude,
never
you
quite
haven't
worked that
you
out.
haven't found your rainbow connection. You'll find it.
Maybe I just need to have like a
Someday
mocket
you'll
weekend.
find it. Your rainbow connection.
We got a couple of comments just before we go. We have Big T. Frostgate was a fun show. Could call it Martin. Could call Martin. No, good call. Good call, Martin. I think that is. Good call. Yes. Good call. But we could call it Martin. I mean, it'd be a bit weird. And we have Martin. Scary man. And we have Big T. See you later, chaps. Well, we will see you later as well. Ladies and gents, please go and give us a follow over on that there Twitter. Like and subscribe us on Channel Lumb and on the It's All Geek to Me YouTube page as well. And if you've got anything that you want us to talk about, feel free just to send us a message. But for now, for me, for Webby, and for Dexter, thank you very much. It's been lovely to see you all.
Bye,
Goodbye.
Oh.